your TV at football and here instead listening to us read. I am so excited to read the beginning of my new book. I am a certified life and parenting coach. So happy to hear someone else talking about parenting. Thank you, sir. I work with parents who are raising teenagers and preteens, a little bit of stress there, and parents, as you mentioned, that are moving through divorce and learning to create those co-parenting relationships. I am a new author with Inkwell, and I'm writing a parenting series that I think you've never seen before. You remember when your kids were little and you used to give them an activity book so they'd be quiet while you had long trips? It had mazes and word searches. Well, that's the kind of parenting book I'm writing. That's awesome. Because parenting should be fun, especially when you're going through raising preteens and teens. So this is the introduction. Thank you for your attention. It was a dark and stormy night. I could feel something ominous coming. I had been warned by so many before. There's a teenager coming! Well, for me it wasn't dark or stormy. I live in sunny Arizona after all. So what clues did I have about how to handle this teenage thing? This metamorphosis of gigantic proportion that was headed my way? Just like many of you, I knew I had the perfect child. She was different. She was so wonderfully behaved, and she was my perfect angel. In fact, throughout her childhood, I only remember her having one tantrum, and it went like this. She gently laid herself down on the floor, face down, arms outstretched, and I said, "Honey, what are you doing?" "I'm mad and I'm having a temper tantrum." She said in none of the screeching volume of a child having a nuclear meltdown. So I thought, strange, but cool. I am out of the woods. I'm not going to have to deal with those typical tantrum behaviors from her. No throwing things, no kicking, screaming for all the neighbors to hear. It was just this unusual display of discontentment. So I let her lay there, and softly, trying to hide the undertones of glee in my voice, I said, "Okay, sweetie, just let me know when you're done." She was about 5 years old then, and for the next 7 years I basked in the fantasy bubble. I've got this parenting thing down. I'll keep her safe and fed and clothed, schooled, discipline her when she gets out of line, arrange play dates so she can play with her friends, and generally sail through this job as her mom. Really, there was nothing more for me to learn about being my older daughter's parent. After all, I'd been doing it now for 12 years, and with a minimal hiccup when my second daughter came into the mix, 6 years and 11 days after her sister. Having 2 kids now didn't change things too much because older sister was so amazingly calm and cooperative. But bubbles eventually pop. And when they do, it gets pretty messy. My fantasy parenting bubble popped the day my preteen daughter of mine and I walked to the mailbox still arguing about what I thought was silly and she thought was paramount to her existence, the color of her room. The shade of the color she was suggesting flew out of her mouth with extreme excitement. "Bright purple, Mommy!" Oh, jeez. You see, back at the house, she and I were discussing redecorating her room and painting it a color that was better suited to her emerging preteen. In my mind, I'm thinking, I'll be okay with whatever color she chooses, right? No. Not only was bright purple a color I knew she would get tired of very quickly, but that meant we'd be right back here really soon having this same argument in a year or so, or we'd just be here a lot sooner. So we walked and argued and walked and bickered louder until we were at the mailbox screaming at each other in an all-out battle over the bedroom and the color purple. Just before a familiar few "my way or the highway" parenting phrases came storming out of me, the scene switched to slow motion. I could see her lips moving, but no sound emanated from this angry face I was being introduced to. I seriously heard not a word. As the years went by, I would discover the benefit of this mommy superpower, to be able to listen but not really hear anything that your teenager is saying. But on that day, in the altered state I was in, right in front of our mailbox, I heard nothing. But the streams of emotions were shooting out of her mouth as if in very, very, very slow motion. I could hear my thoughts loud and clear. Oh my goodness, look what's happening. Where was that sweet little child that did everything I asked her to do just because her mommy said so? She's gone. Well, if this is what preteen looks like, take it back. And of course, right in front of my face, I heard, final sale, no returns. And really, I knew that. The now infamous trip to the mailbox was a big eye-opener. I was not looking forward to slamming doors, rolling of the eyes, and the ever-popular, "Mom, you're ruining my life." It was then I realized she is going through her developmental stages as a teenager, and I need to do the same as her parent, if I were going to have any chance of having peace in my home. I wish I could say this quiet aha moment came like a light bubble over my head. But no, it was more akin to a giant meteor shower with planet-sized boulders hitting me square in the head, and I knew if I wanted to come out of this unscathed, I had to learn something new. Thank you.